as a person. Like some people just might just keep living the same way, knowing that I know I could be doing better. I know I could be doing this. I know I could be doing that. But I don't want to actually take the time to actually face it and tell myself these things.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today we got a very special guest in the building. He's a these days artist to watch. Man, you headlined Sub T recently, and you just released your album. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
I go by the name of D2X. Thank you guys for having me, by the way.
Of course, man.
From the South Side, been in Chicago my whole life. And yeah, man, I make music, and I really just trying to be the best that I could be for myself, and that's what I'm trying to do every single day.
Just growing and being a better person than the person you were yesterday.
Yeah,
That used to be one of my favorite things to say, right? Because there's room to grow for everybody. It's just how far do you want to take it? But introduce the album, man. What's the title of it? It's Hotel 1105,
Hotel
right?
1105. I released that August 23rd of this year, and crazy thing is, I dropped the album on my dad's birthday, and yeah, it's everything that I feel like I could ever make at this time in my life. You know, I'm 26 now, and I was working on I was working on that project for like a few years. So back in 2021, like the winter, it was like December is when I first started creating. You know, my personal masterpiece. I feel like, and over time, I just kept working on it and giving myself time, and I feel like now it's doing what it's needed to do for my career. Just getting people to um get get them to learn a little bit more about who I am and what I stand for.
This album, taking a listen to it, you could tell how deep it is.
Yeah,
The thing that I liked was at the beginning of the album, you're saying stuff, but it's still in a more optimistic tone. And then after you hit that intermission, that's when things take a little bit of a darker
yeah,
turn. And it opens up that opportunity for you to be able to speak about what's really going on in your life
yeah,
to a deeper extent, right? Because throughout the whole album, you're saying a couple different things, and I got them written down. We're gonna get into
yeah.
it. But like with love from Sweet 1105.
I was semi like inspired by some James Bond films at the time. That's kind of also play into the aesthetic of like kind of me wearing a suit and all of those things.
What are
Yeah.
some major changes that you see between 1105 and the color blue?
The color blue for me, the meaning of that album, besides just like the nostalgia of like my life, my entire life up until I was 23 at the time was pretty much like it was me kind of obviously introducing people to who I am, but it was also like that even the color, that theme was like me just kind of saying that like I'm at a rebirth period. I'm at a new beginning in my life, in my career. And I feel like that changed everything. And I feel like with Hotel 1105, um, this one it was extremely personal, but it was more rooted in really me trying to figure and find myself out. So I feel like um, I feel like the difference between the two albums was just me learning more about myself and putting it on display for the world to see that it's more than just music. It's more than just me just being a artist, a rapper, or whatever you want to title it. It's me as a human, and me like literally telling you even the dark sides of my life and the things that I might not even like about myself and the things that I do like, and then the things that I want to get better at and what I want to learn through time. So this was like a look in the mirror and me literally being vulnerable and literally like make having accountability to share that, I would say. So that's the difference. It's more intertwined with myself.
Why do you think it was so important to explore that?
Because I feel like that's what I was literally dealing with even behind the scenes. Like, as artists, people only literally to me only see like 30% of what our real lives are. And a lot of the things that we share for those that do it through their art or their lifestyle or whatever it may be, you don't really know exactly what we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I just feel like I really wanted people that care about me, that care about what I make, and that might even be inspired by what I do to know like I'm not this perfect person. I deal with the same things you may deal with, and this is actually what I went through over these past few years, just to really build that foundation and relationship with my audience, but more so, it was for me to literally live in my truth, and for me knowing that I want to continue to keep growing and exploring music, I gotta literally live in that truthful space. So I think it was best for me to finally like kind of open up about that.
That's what's important. A lot of people get so caught up in the fact that, social media, you're watching what everybody else is doing. So it makes you feel farther behind, or it makes you feel like, oh, well, I need to be doing better. So displaying that to people and letting people know, like, I'm regular too. I don't want to be regular. I want to be the biggest thing in the world where I don't got to worry about this shit. But even the biggest people in the world got to deal with, losing people because of either relationships or death, right? And there's so much more that you explore in the album, right? Like you said, taking an inner look and making those changes about yourself. You're not a stranger to change, bro. You went from playing basketball, being a walk on, to switching career paths and going towards music.
Yeah.
What inspired that?
I was in the process of walking on at Western Illinois. I went there for college all 4 years. Um, Even let's take it a step further back. Like I played high school basketball at St. Rita. It's on 79th and Western on the south side. And I remember like coming into high school, like I was playing on like a pretty well known AAU team. Um, a lot of people kind of knew about me or heard about me at school or around the state. And like I ended up being like freshman on varsity. And I'm saying these things to say like during that time period, like basketball was the only thing that I was thinking about. It wasn't music. It was just my life as a basketball player. And, as time went on, like I started getting little opportunities, like just seeing like certain Division I interests, even getting close to a scholarship offer, but it didn't happen. Like a lot of things didn't happen the way that I wanted it to. And it all had to just do with, I'll just say life. Like it was certain players on our team that were older and they were nationally ranked and they were the focal point. And, with me, I just wanted to kind of stick it out. And when it was my time, my senior year to like kind of finally be, a big part of the team and a leader, like it was kind of like to me, I feel like it was kind of too late at that point to kind of try to do all of these things that I wanted to create a career out of, to get to a great college to play. It was kind of like the last minute. So I say I kind of give you a quick backstory to that because leading into college, I had certain places that I could have played. I had an NAIA scholarship to play basketball, some Division II, Division III kind of visits that I was kind of going on. But I essentially wanted to actually just go to a real university that felt like a real college experience. And I didn't even prepare for my SATs like I should have. Like my GPA was always great in high school, but I didn't prepare well for that because I thought that I could just lean on basketball. So when it came time to finally figure out somewhere to play, I didn't really have that many schools that I got accepted into because I didn't apply myself properly for it. So I went there trying to also walk on, and I remember the day that I ended up talking to one of the assistant coaches at Western, gave me like a literally like thick packet of like physical sheets that I had to do, all kind of requirements. And at that point, this is like September of 2016, which is like literally like the fall into my start of my freshman year. And I thought to myself, I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like, I know I love basketball, but is my desire for this and the willpower to keep going is what is my objective here? Like we all growing up in this city, like I play with a lot of guys that's professional now and playing overseas, and like everybody has that dream of going to the NBA and playing professional, and it's like the chances of that really happening, and then also like maintaining, like to grow, it gets thinner and thinner as you move up in different levels. So it's like when it came to college, I'm like, this NBA dream is not really gonna happen the way I think it will. You know, if by the luck of the draw, if something happens. But I was realistically thinking to myself, like, do I really want to walk on and also like play here? Like, is it worth it? What I envisioned for myself of what I thought that basketball would be for me, it wasn't lining up with my reality. And at that point, that's kind of how I got into music because I'm thinking to myself, like, nah, I know my purpose and what I want to be in life is something greater than anybody could ever imagine, and also for myself. So it's like if I don't see that vision for something that I'm doing, then I should do something else and apply myself to something else that I know that I could be great at as well. And growing up, music was always something that I loved, like, and I felt like I could be great at it because I was always that guy that was like a little different than everybody else in my neighborhood, in my school. Like I'm I'm literally like a deep thinker, introspective. Like I want to do anything that I possibly can to help people. And I felt like music was the medium for me to kind of get that story off. So I know it's a long answer, but me going from basketball to music was literally like why I shifted. And I'm like, nah, I want to do this because I feel like I got something to say. And I feel like I could also tell my past, my present, every story that I could tell and I could be great at that.
And you've been on that journey to just be great from day one, whether it was basketball, whether it was music. You had a dream and you continue to chase that, right? Now you mentioned your neighborhood. In the song I Am Here, you mentioned that sports was our only way to cope. How did basketball help you escape the reality that you were living every single day?
That was our life. Sports, man, I'm glad we talking about this. Like sports, we always like hung out and spent the night on like weekends. I go to my friend's house. They'll literally be like 2 blocks away from me. I go over there. We'll spend a night playing 2K, Madden. Always trying to go to the park. We had two close parks by the crib that we used to interchange certain weeks and go out and play. I remember that's all we did. Um, basketball, neighborhood football, um, running the freaking like hills in the neighborhood, working out in the summer. Like I remember I started lifting weights when I was like 11, 12, like just trying to, and I was literally at that time, I was like taller and stronger than everybody. And I just know like that was my life. Like that's all I wanted to do was just like and me and my friends, like all we wanted to do was just trying to find somewhere to have fun and literally like stay out of trouble. And and yeah, like it helped me escape everything because there was a lot of stuff that was going on. There was a lot of kids that I knew I didn't want to be around. And we might say hello and we might be cool, in school or you might see them around wherever they're at, barbershop, uh, gas station, whatever. But I just know that at the end of the day, I want to be over here and do something that I know that's gonna benefit me later. So even at 12, 13, I was already kind of thinking about what my 2023 would look like. So that helped us get through everything.
But what was it you were trying to cope with?
Anything that I dealt with, I felt like sports for me is the same thing that a person that loves reading that could give them that escape. If someone that loves playing video games, that loves to go out and work out and exercise, if you or someone's way of coping might be listening to music by the pond. Like the simplest things could be any way for you to cope. And I feel like the the main thing is trying to find something that can help you kind of release whatever thing anything that you're going through in your life. And I feel like for me, basketball helped me deal with everything from the things that I might have dealt with personally with my family, even helped me deal with the simple things like my fears, my doubts. Like anytime I went to go play and do something that I love, it regenerated my confidence with my own life to me to wake up every day and feel great about something because I did something that I love to do. So I feel like our way of coping is literally just to do the things that could help us get back to that balanced state of mind where we could think clearly about kind of how we want to navigate and be better for ourselves and be happy most importantly. So
What do you feel like you were trying to run away from when it came to chasing success? Because you've been chasing success for a long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So when I think of chasing success, it almost feels like, at least for me, right, running away from the life that you live currently. You want to be better, you want to do better.
This is literally like what I embody is being ambitious and dreaming about the things that I want to be great at. And I feel like even now and even back then, I think my whole life I've been trying to just escape um, the the possibility of literally just being of like like kind of holding myself back from where I know where I want to be, and I don't want to be like growing up. I didn't want to be stuck in my neighborhood. I didn't want to be like other people that I might have known of or been associates with or in my surroundings, because all I used to really see was people do the opposite of what I was trying to do, and that's literally trying to just do things that could that could keep me out of trouble. That I always was. That was number one. Like I remember like journaling like in the seventh grade, and it's the first time I ever said this. Like the first thing I ever journaled down was literally how I wanted to be different than everybody else, because it was kids that I was with growing up that all they knew was trouble. And I'm not saying that, I'm not even blaming them for it. They might have had a certain circumstances where they might didn't have enough people around, guidance, whatever the case may be. But I just knew that I didn't want to do that. And even in my own family, I'm literally like one of the only, I feel like, males that went a different path. And I feel like that's something that you should be proud of when you raising like a child or or you have a family member that you see going down the right path. I feel like I was just always just trying to run away and escape the possibility of not becoming what I always dream about. Because I see a lot of people that are very talented, a lot of people that are talented that never get a chance to even see the benefits of that because they didn't apply themselves to do those things. And I just want to be an example for somebody that went the other way.
I think about that all the time, honestly, about the fact that I probably said it before, but my homies growing up, like, they would look at me like, this is the one that's gonna leave. Like, if he's gonna do anything, he's gonna leave, right? I was supposed to go to California for college. I was the only one in my neighborhood that went to college. So for me to even
You
think
did go to
about
California?
no, I ended up going to
Okay.
UIC.
That's what's up.
But
That's up.
I'm the only one that went to college,
Yeah.
finished all that, right? But had I gone to California, like, to them that was like, oh, like, that's normal for him. Like, he's gonna do that. So I always wanted to be the one that was different from everybody that I was around. But for you now being 26, you reached an age where you've been able to achieve some success. Obviously, there's more success that you would like to earn along the way. Do you find yourself running from the same things you were running from back then?
I would say the same thing applies, but I feel like I have more like newfound motivations the older I've gotten. And I feel like now my biggest motivation isn't just always just solely rooted in that I don't want to be like other people. I feel like I feel like I stand out just being myself in general. But I feel like my motivation now, even bigger than that, on top of that, is literally me like running away from running away from the things that I literally know that I could be better at with myself. Like I'm trying to I'm literally trying to achieve being the best person that I could be. And it's a lot of things that I want to improve on and get better at. And I want to be able to say that I accomplished that when it's time, to look back at my life and all of the things that I've done. Like the number one thing on my mind now is literally trying to run away from the bad side of me, I would say. I want to be the best version of me that I can. And I feel like the point I'm at in my life now, um, that's literally my motivation is envisioning what the best version of me looks like.
Once again,
Yeah.
right? Trying to find the way to be the best person that you possibly can. In a previous interview, you say that the hardest part was trying to grow up and be a man. What did that process look like for you?
Since I was like 2 years old or one, maybe, I think I was like, yeah, maybe since I was two, my parents had like separated. And, my dad has always kind of been involved in my life, but like but in a way, like it hasn't reached it didn't reach its full potential. I would say, like, we probably would be able to like see each other like maybe once or twice a year, sometimes maybe for years. But we kind of kept in contact, but it was always like, it was kind of subtle, I would say, in a way. So it was like not having my dad in my household, even though like we're still good to this day. We still talk, and it warms my heart being able to have him around still. He's getting a lot older, but not having him around, kind of, I felt like in certain ways, the certain things that you can learn from your father, like teaching you certain things, and you know uh, a- with manhood and kind of learning that aspect was a little difficult because I got my mom and I got three older sisters, but they're all like 10 plus years older than me, so I didn't really get a chance to grow up with them. My mom dealt with all kind of things like failed marriages, failed situations with people, and I'm saying that to say, like, as a kid, these are the things that I'm seeing. So I'm not lit, and I know I talked about it in my album as well. Like, I never really got a chance to even build a relationship with people that I might have seen my mom with, and it's like, thank God that now, like, she's married to someone who they've been together for a long time, and it's amazing to see that happiness. And now my mom is in that place that she was trying to get to for so long, is trying to find that right person. And I say that to say that kind of played a role in my upbringing because I had to literally learn certain things about what being a man really is, and I had to learn it on my own. I felt like, and I failed at times, but I feel like now at 26 versus when I was 21 or 23, I see changes and I see differences, and I'm learning what it truly takes to kind of me get into that, like, to be like the best adult. And I got to do that for myself. No one can teach you that. You got to learn and figure that out on your own.
What's the difference between what you thought a man was at 21 versus now?
My semi ideal of what I thought being a man was just somebody that was like probably like financially in a good space, take care of yourself. You got your own like independency, like you got your own stuff going on. Own car, own place, you got your own money, like you taking care of yourself, like just simple things. But I didn't realize, like, now that I've gotten older, like it's more than just that. And I feel like the number one thing for me that I've had to learn of what being a man truly is having like supreme emotional intelligence. And I feel like that's something that I didn't even think of even when I was 21 or even 18, thinking about what a man is. Because once we turn 18 or 21, that'd be the time where you feel like you got everything figured out, and you don't. And you learn those things when you come in contact with other people. If it's relationships, if it's business ventures, whatever it is, like, you kind of learn, like, it's so many aspects to truly what being a man is. And I feel like you learn that through time. And I think the number one thing of all that it has to do with is for sure like character and
Mm.
how you approach everything. Like, it's a lot of steps to it that I didn't know.
I think the most important thing you said there was the emotional intelligence part. Understanding yourself so that you can be a better person for not only yourself, but for your mom, your significant other, your siblings, shit, even your dad, right? So just understanding that aspect and being a better person for them. When doing some self reflection, what did you learn about yourself?
I don't have it all figured out like I thought I did, if that makes sense. And I feel like sometimes you don't really understand the things that you really, really, truly have to um, improve on until, like, you get through or past certain situations, and then you look back and reflect on it and be like, wow, now I understand why this person told me this, or this person told me this about myself, that I needed to correct or improve on. And maybe I didn't hear them or wasn't trying to really understand or even listen to what they were saying at the time. Or maybe I just didn't understand it in general because I didn't have enough time and thought and knowledge to understand what they were saying. But it's like when I look back on certain things in my life, even when I was young, certain mistakes that I might have made, and I appreciate those situations. But I just look back on it and be like, wow, now I get it. I finally understand why this didn't go this way or this didn't happen because I actually did this. And it's like having accountability and learning what those things are. Like I feel like that's truly what is gonna help me kind of get to where I need to go. Like I gotta remind myself like this is why this happened. So all right, let me adjust and let me do something different next time.
What's one of those things that you were told, man, that you understood later on?
I remember something my grandmother told me before she passed, um, and that'll always really like stick with me. To be honest, like I remember this was back in 2021. Yeah, it was like the summer, and I was literally like, I was having one of the most probably like stressful summers in my life. This was like a year after I graduated college, trying to figure life out, trying to figure out a way to like kind of make some good money for myself, trying to find a decent job. And I was out of work for like probably like 3 months at the time in a row. And I remember I was staying with my mom, and me and her were like having a lot of problems. And I felt like at that point, it was a super duper disconnect because I knew what I was trying to do for myself, as a man and trying to grow and trying to, um, trying to move out of her place and the problems that I had between me and her. It was like a lot of things that I probably didn't want to hear about myself at the time, and also just being frustrated at me being in that moment, and I'm trying to find a way to get out of it. And I remember for like a week I stayed with my grandmother. She always used to tell me this, but that day I didn't understand it truly when she was like, um, the person that I was with at the time, you don't, not even to be negative, but you don't really know how long you might be with this person. It might be the next year, 50 years. Like, and and obviously that's a goal. You want to, whoever you love or who you with, you want to be with them forever, but you don't really truly know how long that'll last. Like, and even when things don't work out with certain people that we have involved in our life, it's not like you can't go meet someone else might be better, or down the line you might find someone else, but you only get one mother, you only get one grandmother, you only get, that one special like family member. And it's like, I say that to say she was telling me that like you only have one mom, so just be careful how you treat your mother. And it's crazy to say that because it's like now my mom don't have her mom, and we were having a conversation about that, like actually like recently, like how much those words hit to me now, because it just make you realize like you really do have to appreciate the people that you literally have in your corner, that truly loves you, because the things they might tell you might not want to hear it, but it always apply to life later. On top of that statement, like the things that I've learned from her, and I even been told by my grandmother and my mom, like I see what they were saying now, and it's okay to listen. It's okay to not always want to be the one that wins in the conversation, or feel like I need to be more correct than you. It's not even really about that. It's literally about like,
Not thinking you know everything. That's something that I have a huge problem with. I always think that I know everything and that I know best. And, I'll be told, like, bro, like, you don't know everything. Like, calm down. But in that moment, like you said, you don't want to hear that shit. You don't want people to tell you you're wrong, especially when you wholeheartedly believe in certain things.
yep,
That's why people get into so many arguments over opinions and beliefs, right? That's why they say that there's three things you don't talk about. What the fuck is it? It's religion, politics, and what else is the other one?
I do not know the third one, man.
I don't fucking know,
I
but
know I know the saying. I
yeah.
know exactly what you're referring to.
But that's why you
Yeah,
don't talk about it, because people's beliefs are so strong sometimes that then it just creates an awkward situation. And what do you do then, right? Because if you believe one thing and I believe another thing, I mean, there's a huge thing going on right now in the world where people are split on it. There's no reason to be split on it, but people are split on it because of their beliefs. And how do you get two people to come to an understanding when they're so far against each other. You know what I'm saying? In your song Summer in Venice, you say, as the sun rise and my tears fade, I wonder why I always feared change. Is it the fear of life, the pain and strife conflicting in the frame? Like, how can I be a leader when I need the same? What was the scariest part of change for you?
Before I continue, like I just want to say, like that line really hits because I wrote that out of my notebook, and I was a lot of like literally probably 90% of this album, like the album, I literally wrote out of my personal journal. So like these things hit hard, and I would say the hardest thing of change for me, like I would just be honest, like it was literally just like this year. I would say seeing how I feel like from a career standpoint, this was probably like the most successful year up to this point of my career, like that has happened for me, like musically, and just being able to like kind of elevate myself as an artist and as a person. But also, it was literally like the most difficult because I talked about it in the album, and I was with someone for a while, I would say, and through the process, I got married. Was trying to start, a family potentially, and I that literally that was the hardest thing I would say to like get away from because through my music, anybody that listens to me, like like that was something that I embraced a lot was like family and me wanting to lead I I had a lot of issues with just kind of learning what it truly takes to kind of sustain that. Um, and it was a lot of good times, but just feel like for that, and that goes back to what I was saying, like my grandmother was saying. Um, losing that, I would say it also helped. It helped me. It helped me gain a lot more, even though the way you would look at it is like, man, I just let this slip out of my life. This is something that I really cared about and I value. Why didn't it work? And then I write down on a sheet of paper like, you know, these are the things that I actually need to get better at and learn before I'm able to fully invest myself into something that it's not just about when you meet somebody and you fall in love with them. It's those years when things isn't always as great as it was when you first meet somebody for the first month or two, where everything feel like it's like on cloud nine. It's those tough times. Like how do you what is what is love in those moments, and how do you show that? And those are the things that you don't just get right away. It might take who knows how long, but I just knew that for me, I've stopped looking at it as a bad thing, and I looked at it in a way where this was, and I feel like it is like this was a part of this chapter of my life, and I'll look back on this year, years to come, and be like, oh, okay, I'm glad that this happened because now look where I'm at now, look what I'm able to do for myself. So I would just say, just kind of like that love loss, losing my grandmother was also tough. Um, and I would say those two things, and that's pretty much like what I talked about too in my music. Like two things that meant the most to me, and the most up to this point successful year of my life, I would say. And those things happen. It's like it's kind of crazy, but I embrace it, and it's helped me become like a better person, I would say.
That was 2021 for me. I dealt with a lot of personal hardship during 2021, but that was the year that all of this started.
Wow.
And I made it my goal to graduate college that specific year because I wanted that moment to say, like, I did all of this shit despite all the bad shit that happened. And I always tell people, like, 2021 should have been the worst year of my life, but I don't look at it like that. I literally look at it as one of my favorite years of my life, which is so weird because
Yeah.
all the bad shit that happened in my life everybody would be like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
I feel like everything is just trying to bring like you down and alter your happiness, and then you just realize like, man, stuff don't. It's not gonna always like be stormy and rainy out. Like one day the sun gonna come out, and you just gotta always remember like keep that same like positive frame of mind through it all, man. Because once you finally get on the other end of the fence or the other side of the tunnel, like life is beautiful, and the things that you've gained and that that armor that you had to put on through everything is gonna be needed even when things are going great because now you know what it feels like to be at rock bottom.
And you mentioned finding it difficult to sustain this relationship and this happiness. Why do you feel like it was so difficult to sustain that?
A lot of times where things might have not been going the way that I wanted it to, I also gotta kind of had to look in the mirror and realize like I'm playing a role in this issue. Even though like oftentimes we like to blame things on the world or other people and not really realizing like, oh, like I gotta get myself together, man, or this is not gonna work. And I can see it happening. And it's like I think for me, and something that I always remember and realize is like how you value someone else that's in your space. It's like it all plays a role with how where you are in your life, I would say. And I feel like if something that's valuable, you will take care of it. But if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not treating yourself properly the way that you know you're supposed to do for other people, then it's never gonna work. Like with anybody, you got to spend time in learning who you are and learning what you accept and what you don't, and also what you should provide for others. And I feel like you don't really get that time to really explore those things until you actually take extreme like time to kind of figure out who you really are as a person. And it's not going to take someone else to make you be something or anything unless you put the time and the work in to actually do those things for you.
What do you feel like are some of those things that you learn that you don't like and that you do like?
I would just say forgiveness is like key. And I feel like in order to forgive others, you gotta also have that same conversation with yourself. The same love that you would want for someone else, you gotta provide those same things to yourself. And I'm saying that to say like it could be anything, but if you really pay close attention to you, you will realize that the things that you kind of oftentimes expect out of other people, are you providing those things to you, and you can't display that to someone else if you're not doing those things alone. And I feel like it ultimately with anybody, you get around a person for a long like a nice period of time, it starts to really show who they really are. And there's a lot of times like I also like you could say anything with words, but like the actions behind them is what's gonna reveal everything. And even in a simple like apology, if that's not getting backed up with the action, it's just kind of showing like those habits, like actions and the actual work to do that is what really takes something to like be successful. Like we can all have a desire to be great or be great for someone else and do the best things for another person. But if you're not taking that time to actually do it, it's never ever gonna happen. Whatever I'm expecting out of someone, I gotta be able to provide the same thing.
But
And I gotta do that. Um I gotta learn that on my own.
it's kind of
Yeah.
contradictory. The two things I'm
Yeah.
gonna say is that you can't expect yourself from others,
Yep.
but the way that I also look at it is if I do something for somebody, I expect them to uphold that same standard. If somebody expects something from me, why can't they uphold that same expectation that they're putting on me? Just say offering an apology, right? You made somebody upset and they expect you to offer an apology. Okay, that's fine. I'll apologize and we can move on. But when it comes the other way around, if I gotta chase you for an apology, it's like Why can't you uphold the same standard that you hold me to?
Yeah.
I think that that gets lost sometimes in this generation as well, is that people want to always be the one being chased. People want to always be the person that is wanted. And I think that's a human nature thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be wanted, but making sure that your actions are fair and just both ways. Because when it's a one-sided affair, it's like, what are we doing here? Something key you mentioned there was forgiveness, though. From your song Root Paradise, you say, appreciate the small things. That's all I've been thinking. I was younger, feeling all pain. I'm getting older. I release resentment from my shoulder, forgiving my dad, myself, my mama. I was chosen. You literally had to forgive your dad, your mom, yourself. And like you said, there's a lot that happened with your dad. There's another song where you mentioned that, you just wanted to be able to call him. One by one, I wanted to go down the list and kind of have you reflect on the things that you had to forgive everybody for, right? Because
Yeah.
those life experiences, that trauma that you held on to, those grudges, I don't know if how long you held on to them, but that instills certain emotions in you, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
And when you grow up feeling those things constantly, then it starts to shape the way that you think. What were some of those things that you had to forgive your mom for?
I love my mom. My mom did everything she could possibly can for me since I was young, even up to now. Like my mom is the best mom in the world. Like she went through a lot to even get to where she is, even financially. Like my mom doing real estate now. Mom doing amazing, and she's been doing amazing for a long time. I just think for me, forgiving my mom was just understanding that like the certain things that I might have didn't realize when I was a kid. Now I understand now. Like, and another thing, this is literally even on a larger scale. This could go for anybody like growing up in households under their parents where you might have kind of that unbalanced understanding for your parent. I would say, the relationship could be great sometimes, not. It happens with anybody, but I feel like realizing that she literally just did the best she could with the knowledge that she had at the time is what I would say. Like, and I think as kids, like growing up, or anybody that was authority to us in the household, like you try to kind of make sense of why they did this or did that, and a lot of things you might not like or not like. Our parents are literally like making mistakes right in front of us as we grow. But as kids, a lot of times we don't forget certain things. So I say that to say it's like when I get older, it make me realize like I should forgive my dad, I should forgive my mom, I should forgive anybody that I had any sort of even small inch of like malice towards, because we're all human at the end of the day. And I would want someone to forgive me for mistakes that I've made, no matter who they are, because we realize like all of us are literally trying to figure it out. Everybody. It don't matter how old you are. Age doesn't have anything to do with growth and character and learning who you really are. We all trying to figure ourselves out every day. So even when I'm 40, I'm still gonna be learning things,
Still not gonna have it
So
figured out.
you gotta forgive, man. Having that held on you for so long, it's hindering me subconsciously.
What did you have to forgive your dad for?
Thing that I always wanted growing up was just for us to have more time just to have more time to do cool things that I could always hold on to and have memories. Like it's not like we got a million pictures floating around. It's not like I got a million stories that I could bring up that we've had together. But I won't. I'm not gonna say that like we didn't do anything at all. Like even the small stuff is things that I could still appreciate, because a lot of I got people that I know personally that didn't have their parents at all. Parents passed when they were young. I got a cousin in my fam who he hasn't seen his dad since he was 8, and now we're both the same age, and he don't got really any memories with his dad at all. But at least I could say that I spent even a small amount of time with my dad. Even though I wanted more, I still should appreciate it because I could have had nothing. I talked to him about it too, like had a conversation, and it's mutual. Like it's nothing. It's no bad thing. I still love my dad, and I'm just grateful that he's still around for us to even have conversations like this, and I plan on, like, for us to start hanging out more, and just I can still do it now. It's never too late. So
A lot of people hold on to that anger and that resentment for such a long time. And that was a key thing that you said in the song, right? I had to learn to forgive my dad. Do you feel like your relationship with your parents growing up was the reason why you had battled with anger for so long?
yeah, but I would say I didn't know or didn't understand a lot of things. You don't really understand, like especially the things that you deal with psychologically, like growing up. Like when you're a kid, you just feel you. A lot of times, you just think things are just the way it is or whatever. Like not everyone is really tapped into themselves, especially at a young age. But I feel like when you get older, you start understanding. Like when you really want to tap into who you are, you start kind of trying to find the root of the problem. And I feel like a lot of that, yeah, did have to do with that because, um, that was something that I used to always deal with. Was like, and a lot of people probably wouldn't know, but like I used to always deal with like anger a lot growing up because I felt like, um, a lot of it was probably like I said at the time, I probably didn't know where it was coming from, but I feel like probably most likely what I could say now is like just not having that structure for me to have like a balance with my emotions, like where I could go to my mom and go to my dad about certain things. Cause it's kind of crazy now that I think about it. It's like when I talk to my dad, even now, when he's telling me something versus like if I'm hearing something from my mom, like it's a different kind of understanding and communication that we have. And I feel like and a lot of people still come out great, even with a single parent household. But just having your father and your mom in the same like place, I don't know, man. For me, I just feel like it's a lot of more like pros that come with that. And at the end of the day, I'm just appreciative that I still became something, even with those, with things not being the way I wanted it. Like I still turned out to be still a good kid. So I'm just grateful that I'm now at 26. I know why and how those things, started.
And just being self aware, right? Because now you're able to grow from it, make the changes, make the adjustments you need to make to be an even better person. Because a lot of the times we see those negatives and the positives we got from both parents. We're a reflection of them. So when we look in the mirror, we see both the good and the bad. Like for me, my dad, he jokes a lot, and I see myself in
Yeah.
him. I see him in me in
Yeah.
that way because I be making a lot of stupid
Yeah.
jokes, and that's how he is.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, "You gotta stop being like him." I'm like, "Bro, like, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
I grew up with him my whole life. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, something's got to give, right?" Shit. So if it's his sense of humor, I guess it is what it
Yeah.
is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what do you feel like you had to forgive yourself for then?
Not having a proper discipline to be able to take the things that I know that I need to do and what I'm supposed to do and what I've been told from people that genuinely care about me and not applying it. I'm forgiving myself for that because I'm realizing like my intentions and in my heart I know who I want to be and how great I want to be as a person. And now it's like I just want to take the actual time to actually finally like conquer that problem that I've always had is like knowing right from wrong, but the difference between like just the distance between knowing and doing is 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 that's where like the difficulty comes. And it's like it's a lot of things that we are aware of, but to take the time to actually make that an action is the problem that I felt like that I've learned that it's probably one of my biggest issues, like being an adult. And now it's like that's like one of my that's what I want to say that I finally did. So I forgive myself for that because time heals all, man. And to be honest, like on this journey of learning self and learning who we really are and what truly was gonna help us be our best selves, you're gonna come. It's gonna come with losses. It's gonna come with a lot of wins as well. But at the end of the day, I feel like when you keep that in mind and you keep that, you just keep that intention there. Like I know where I'm trying to get to. When you finally like reach that turning point, everything that you went through, like it was all worth it. The things, the people that's in your life that's not in it no more. Just remember every single situation that you've been in, and remembering those things, and you could literally like pick a piece from every single encounter you've had with someone or a situation in your life and apply that just to everything. And I feel like that's all of that plays a role in you finally kind of becoming that that best person you want to be. So I just forgive myself because um I know where I'm gonna be next year. I'm gonna learn everything I've went through this year. It's gonna all help me become who I want to be next year, and I gotta appreciate all of it.
Take your L's in peace and move on.
Yeah,
It's like, as artists, though, that's what we're bound to do. We're bound to talk about our life experiences because that's why we put it out there for
yep,
people to relate, for people to understand what I'm going through so that maybe it'll help you. Maybe it'll make you feel better because we're human, man. We're here to
yeah,
share stories. That's what people have been doing since day one. They shared folk stories and fables and
yeah,
shit, word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
sharing stories so that people can feel comfort, so that people can feel related to, so you could just make somebody laugh. That's what's important.
yeah.
One question that I don't have written down, reflecting on the relationship that you saw your parents have and then the relationships that your mom went through, do you feel like it gave you an extra push to try to make something work so early on when you were so young?
Nah, I wouldn't say that had anything to do with it. I think it was just like that's just where my life was at the time. Like I was with somebody for a while, and I wasn't afraid to just kind of just take the opportunity to trying to go to the maximum level that I can with somebody that I cared about. And we all go into things optimistic, like you want everything to work, but sometimes sometimes things don't go the way we want it to. But the thing is, to like your question, like that wasn't my motive of getting married young, but I think the way I look at her situation is it's helped me it's helped me like accept that not working, because it's like to finally see my mom like with a genuinely like great husband, and seeing the trial and error that it took to even get to that point. That's just one little thing about like her life, like that I that I literally use as motivation, because it's like, wow, it took it took it took time for you to finally reach the best. Like love is amazing, man. It's like the best point of like that happiness, and it's like for you to finally have someone that genuinely cares and is doing every little like thing that I, even me as a son, like expected someone to treat my mom. And that's amazing to me. And that's like that's one of the most beautiful stories that I could even like think of, that I've been able to witness. And that gives me so much confidence and courage to know, like, man, it might hurt now, but later, man, it's like everything works. Everything matters. Like everything has its purpose. Even with like the basketball, like, yeah, that didn't work and it hurt it. It hurt it when I had to like switch over and do something else. But man, and if you would have told me when I was 12, 14, 16, like that the basketball wouldn't always be the main thing that I'll be doing and I'll end up being a musician, I wouldn't have thought of it. But look at what happened when you just let life flow, and you just kind of just got to do the best that you can every single year, and you start realizing like, man, I'm actually glad that happened.
Everything happens for a
Yeah,
reason, bro. That I say that all the time. Like, I I was supposed to go to Cali, didn't. And look at what happened, right?
Yeah.
We created something great. We created a platform where I always loved music too. I
Yeah.
always loved music. I wanted to do production. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to do every fucking
Wow.
thing, right?
Wow.
And it just so happened that this is what we landed on. And I still get to be a part of the community. I still get to showcase a bunch of people. And at the end of the day, if I want to do something else within the industry, who's to say I can't?
Yep.
But to have built a platform that resonates with so many different people, not only on the music side, but on the mental health side, which is what I went to school for. I went to school for psychology. So it just shows you again, right? Everything comes full circle eventually. Everything happens for a reason. And when you look at life on that optimistic note, nothing can tear you down.
One thing we always got to remind ourselves that is like no matter what you do, whatever medium or anything that you want to apply yourself to, when you have that foundation with yourself that and that confidence, you can literally be great at anything. So it's just like me making music versus when I was playing basketball. It's like, yeah, I'm doing two different things, but it doesn't really feel any different to me because my mindset has always been the same. And it's to literally like be different, stand out, be myself, and literally do something that that I even can't even imagine. Like go to the highest height. And I feel like that's why I feel like I'm happy with what I'm doing because I'm the same person. Um and I got the same desires that I did when I was younger. When I and even though I was doing something else, it's like that inner child, that inner desire, that desire to be great has never went away. And it's like I don't even if I was a professional bowler right now, or if I was doing golf or something, I would still be the same way and I would be happy because I know that at the end of the day, like I still feel like that kid that was, playing basketball.
You're chasing greatness.
Yeah.
It's not just about chasing success, but it's about chasing reaching that next level and being the best that you can be at it. Like you said, not only being the best professional, but being the best person you can be.
Yeah.
This whole thing has been really about change and growing and just being a better person overall. And once again, that's the most important aspect. And with becoming a better person comes not only the forgiveness aspect, but growing and being able to offer your own apology, which was basically from Hotel 1105 with love. That's it, right?
Yep, you got it right. From
Yeah,
Hotel 1105.
my bad.
You got it. You got it.
This one was basically you offering an apology.
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk about the track and its significance to you.
To be honest, I feel like my entire approach with this album, but specifically that song, like it was literally me not trying to point the finger at anybody, because anybody, like in any situation, if it's something that you don't like you can always say what you don't like about someone else or things that they do that might make you feel this way. But no, how do I really feel? How am I actually treating myself? What are the things that I am aware of about me that I'm afraid to even say out loud, and I'm also afraid to even tell myself and look in the mirror and literally like be honest with myself about. I feel like oftentimes as humans, like, and even as people, like we run away from that aspect of ourselves is like literally trying to have that like honest conversation. And oftentimes, like it sometimes it hurts to do it, and it's like a lot of times you might know you're doing wrong, but you just don't want to face it or admit it, and you'll just keep, you as a person, like some people just might just keep living the same way, knowing that I know I could be doing better, I know I could be doing this, I know I could be doing that, but I don't want to actually take the time to actually face it and tell myself these things, because oftentimes that's what hurt. Really the hardest thing to do is being honest with yourself, and I feel like on that track I feel like I literally just want to let out everything that I've been afraid to say and tell myself, because I feel like that was going to be the key to me embarking a new journey and turning a new chapter in my life. And I feel like the chapter that I'm heading and I'm in now is that that true self state where I'm trying to do any and everything that could literally pour into me and make me like the best person I was. And I mean, I am. I'm trying to be. So that song is literally just me kind of just um, letting out everything, letting out my fears, letting out the things that I know that I probably never told anyone, but I felt like it was needed if I want to be able to continue to kind of go where I'm trying to go in my life, and that's me living in my truth.
What was the most relieving part to put on that song?
I would basically say what's missing in this film, which is like this movie of my life, is literally like learning like the tools of what it takes to love myself. And also said like um, like I could finally see what's needed in this next chapter of my life. And that's me being in a state of like freedom. So
Hmm.
I can explore what it takes to learn who I am. You can't make too many mistakes when you're dealing with somebody, someone else. It's like I feel like and I say that to say it's like when you don't take enough time to apply correction and time to fail and just learning what it takes to just be the best you alone. When it's time for you to be with somebody else, it's kind of like to me, I look at it like as sports. If you don't practice enough, if you're not conditioning, when it's time to perform, it's gonna really show the type of player you are due to the work that you've put in when no one was watching.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing with anything that you do. Like if you're not taking time to prepare yourself and instill certain things in you that you know is gonna take to thrive and be successful at something, eventually it's gonna like show. So that led me to think like, all right, what I need to do next is actually learn these things that I didn't know beforehand, and all of this is gonna help me be even better at the things that I love to do. And it's
Hmm.
but that's not what life isn't just all about career, career, career. It's being the best person and also how many people that I impact in my life. And I gotta be if I want to be extreme like successful that ambition that I had as a kid, I gotta realize that applies to everything.
So then, what's the importance of 1105?
To be honest, like when I was with someone, that was the day that I got married. I haven't told anybody this, but it's been out for a little while. I could tell you.
I assumed it was something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, it was the day. It was the day that I got married, and but it was also the last day I saw my grandmother. And the crazy thing is, that had nothing to do when I initially made the album. When I first started making the project, which was back in 2021, I came up with that title because I was trying to embrace like, me moving out my mom's house. Um Now I'm with my wife at the time. We moved away, had our own place after dealing with all of these problems trying to find work, trying to make enough money to be able to have our own place. And it was supposed to be like a celebratory album. That's the funny thing. My engineer, like Ro, I remember I first came to him with the album, like the idea, and the whole idea was literally supposed to be like a celebration. That's why on the cover, like it's pretty sunny, and it's like I was trying to go for this aesthetic where it's like, all right, I'm finally at like a happy place, and it was kind of piggybacking off the outro on the color blue, when I kind of said that I want to find a way to like finally like get us to this next step and find a place for us for my family. Um, and I was thinking like on this album, like, all right, we did it kind of thing. And the funny thing is, like through time, it turned into a whole story.
Which is reflected in the album.
Crazy.
Because, like I
Yeah.
was telling you, right at the very beginning, at the up until like intermission,
Yeah.
the album's pretty positive. It's
Yeah.
optimistic.
Yeah.
And you get to the intermission and just see a whole left turn. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm like, is he married? You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and for me doing all the research, I'm like, which one is it? You know what I'm saying? But shit, I mean, we learn and we grow, and you learn to be a better person for, once again, not only
Yeah.
yourself, but for the next person that's gonna come into your life and offer something even stronger and better.
I'm pretty much like kind of time stamping these chapters in my life, and I feel like even years from now, like this is something that, I mean, to be honest, I'll forever live with these songs, no matter how far I get. But this will also help me, even with the cover art, like these, and that's another reason why I make my albums the way they are. Like with even with the art, like I can remember these moments, and I'll look back on them proud because, like, man, I really did go through that, and and I feel like the significance of that is even larger than what I initially wanted it to mean because I had to live a little to finally figure out what that mean, and I'm happy that even throughout everything, like I'll always remember what November 5th is. So
How did this album help you heal and close old wounds? I had specifically the track, but I mean, shit, it seems like the whole album overall was pretty powerful. Powerful.
this was probably the toughest thing that I had to do. One of the toughest things that I've probably had to do in my life was to literally let people into my world entirely. I feel like as artists, especially even me personally, like on my first project, like we reflect a lot and we kind of make certain points here and there within our music, and for the most part it's kind of like a reflection. And even for me, like on the color blue, I'm kind of just going back on a lot of good times, a lot of good days, and I was still dealing with things, but with this, it was like literally a lot of it had to really, a lot of these songs were actually just in the moment. Like and a lot of people wouldn't even know, but like it was a lot of times where like I used to avoid writing my songs in the midst of me like dealing with certain emotions. So if I was like down or upset, I wouldn't write it. Like it's times I have, but a lot of times I used to kind of try to let that feeling go away and then write about it and reflect on it. But like with this album, and it's like I literally wrote through everything, even when I didn't feel like, even when it hurted, even when I probably wasn't having like the best day. I needed to timestamp these moments with my words because I knew that it would play a role later. Because and that and to be honest, now that I think about it, as I'm saying it, that has something to do with living in truth. It's literally um allowing every little thing to like to have like its value. And I say that to say like it's like me not running away from my emotions anymore. And I feel like that's what this whole album embodied was, is literally me kind of just putting it on the line now. Like if I'm gonna live in truth, I gotta live, and I gotta be open and vulnerable about every little thing that when it comes to me. And I feel like that's gonna help me, like it's gonna set me free from this person that I was to who I want to be next, and what I want to be better at in the future. So I feel like this whole album was just literally like a look in the mirror. And now I feel great because it's like I said it, I went through it, and it's like now, what are you gonna do now? And now it's like it's time for you to to do these things that you could be great at, and that's where I'm at now. Like I feel like I can do it, and I need to if I want to move to the next step in my life.
I appreciate you telling your story, and I appreciate you coming here to tell it too. It was a
Thank
really
you,
dope
man. Thank you.
conversation, bro. Make sure you guys go ahead, check out D2X on all streaming platforms. You got anything to plug?
Give me on Instagram, D2X D2X and then four underscores. I couldn't get my just solid D2X, but yeah, D2X four underscores after, and D2X on Twitter, two underscores after, and yeah, I just want to say that I just want to continue to um grow and be the best artist and person that I could be, and moving forward, like I got a lot more coming that's gonna be crazy.
Make sure you guys go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
Broken pieces, who's to blame?